Welcome to Everyday VBA, your online solution for becoming an Excel VBA expert.
All right. Well, in the last video, what we did is we took the invoice data and we were able to populate our basic invoice, which was really cool. Now, what we've done here is we've got basically these are all the same. So we've got this all goes to Joe, this all goes to Jim, and this goes to Jim, but it's shipped to Joe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some if statements to our code so that we can tell tell what needs to go where. Because this is basically the same thing. We just need to add the information into our data right here. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to create an if statement. And the way if statements, it's basically an if-then statement. So we're going to go if dsheet. And remember, dsheet is where our data is. RW1 is not equal to dsheet dot okay. So the important thing, I'm going to shrink this over. We're going to make this a little bigger so it's easier to read. So the important thing with an if statement, I always like to indent my code so that it just makes more sense, is an if statement always has an end if. And then you can also have an else. So what we just told the code right here is if R1, let's go back here, if this is not equal to this, what we need to do is we need to clear out the code. So we're going to go, okay, and I'll basically show you how that works. Now the other thing that we did add in here is that we added in this piece down here that basically fills in the whether it's a screw or a widget or basically the product information. So we've got that right there. I'm going to walk through this real quick. Back up here. Okay, what we need to do is we need to create a new variable. And that new variable is we're going to call it PRW. P just basically for product, and that's going to start at 21. So I've got 21 here, I've got 21 there. And so what this is going to do is we're going to go PRW equals 21. So we're going to reset that variable. This will make more sense as we kind of walk through it. So if we'll just be patient, we'll kind of get there. So we're going to close this out right here. We're going to put in this information, and if you remember, I may be moving kind of quickly, but if you remember, this section is what fills in this and this, right? So if that changes, we're going to need to fill it in, right? The other thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to fill in this information. And so I'm actually going to copy because we're actually going to use it in our else statement. And instead of 21, we're going to go PRW, okay, which is just a variable. So we're just got it's our product row. Now if it's not equal, we're going to go PRW equals PRW plus 1. And again, I'm moving pretty quick, but as I walk through this should make a lot more sense. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm just going to walk through this really quick just so that you can watch it. So I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so that we can see. We're going to go F8, which is basically just step through. So we're going to set these two variables. It's going to go down. It's going to travel down here. What it's doing here is it says, is this, just double check here, right here, this equal to, I need to change that variable right there. Is dsheet RW equal to RW minus 1? And so in this case, it says, is this equal to this? It's going to say no. It's going to set my PRW right there. Let's go make sure it clears contents. Okay, that's cleared, that's cleared, that's cleared. Now it's going to populate the name. the ship to, and it's going to put in my first row of information. Now it's going to go through that. It's going to go through the loop again. It's going to do this test again. It's going to say, well, Joe is equal to Joe. So I don't need to do this first section. I need to do the second section. But now we're not on row 21. We're on row 22. So if I hit F8 again, it's going to change that to 22. Oh, and I didn't put in my variable. PRW. Notice how it just went straight to that row. That's funny. Notice it puts that in, and I added another cell, which when I go through again, it's going to basically put all that information in. And our code at this point is going to just keep populating until we get to Jim, and then it fills in the rest of it. Okay, so we're going to back out of this. I'm going to hit F5, or actually I'm just going to run through the whole thing. And you'll notice that it basically populates the whole thing. Now we're really close to basically having this completely finished. We just need to add one little thing to our if statement. Notice that your ship to name, your purchase name, and your ship to needs to be the same. So we really should have three invoices. This is only going to produce 2 as it loops through everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another condition. Grab the wrong window. We are going to go and I'm going to copy this whole thing because I just want to do the same test, but I want to do the same test not just on column 1, but I want to do it on column 2 as well. And so what this is going to do is it's basically going to say, is this equal to this? Is this equal to this? And so when it comes down to here, it's going to say those two aren't equal, then do this top section. I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, and that'll basically stop that when we get there. Now let's go back here, back to this sheet. Now I've referenced all of my sheets here, so I can actually run this on any page. If I didn't reference the sheet, it would basically copy whatever my active sheet was. So I'm going to go back here, hit F5. It's going to stop it. Okay, so we should be on our first invoice, and I'm going to hit F5 again, and it's going to delete and fill it with just Joe's information. So you'll notice that you've got Joe. This is what we have. He's got 4 products. We've got Joe. He's got 4 products. There they are. Now you'll notice that it also went to the next. It stopped here because I've got a breakpoint. Now when I hit F5, it's going to pull in Jim's information. It's going to pull in these 3. It's actually not going to pull in this last one because of the way that we coded it. So I keep hitting F5 when I'm on the Excel window. That pulls up the go-to. So here's Jim. He's got his 4 things. Okay, so that obviously didn't work. It pulled in the last invoice, pulled in those screws, and those screws were supposed to go to Joe. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick troubleshoot here. Now I know that that's happening on row 8, so this is the easiest way to basically figure out what's going on there. So I'm going to go equals if RW equals I'm sorry, I said row 8, but it's actually on row 9. So if row RW equals 9, then I'm just going to type in stop. Stop is a VBA. It's the VBA code for exactly what it says if it stops. So we're just going to check my criteria here real quick. I'm going to come back here. We're going to highlight this. We're going to hit F5. Okay, we're fine. We're fine again. Okay, now we're on row 8. I meant to be on row 9. I'm going to change that, hit F5 again. Now we're back. RW equals 9. And we're going to walk through this. So there's Jim, there's Joe, and there's Jim. and here's what I did. So what I did here, this is a you'll run into this a lot as you start to code, but what I basically did is I've got an AND clause here. So it's basically saying if they're both different, and I need to just change that to an OR clause. You'll notice when I hit OR, it's going to go through, and it'll go through the whole thing. And if we go back to the basic invoice, there it is. So, so that's the next step. The next step is basically to create these into different worksheets, to create multiple worksheets. That's the next step. It should be a quick video. Hope you enjoyed.